My worst fear in life is getting eaten by a shark. It's something that's haunted me for a long time. So when my friends asked me to go down to, or up to Cape Cod with them this summer, that was my thought. I'm going to get eaten by a shark, I'm going to die, and be all over the news. But it happens that the trip up there was actually what was almost the death of me. So my husband and I got home from work and we left for the trip about 2 hours late. We left at like 9 o'clock, thinking we'd drive straight through, no traffic or anything. So we're somewhere on 95 in between New York and Connecticut, and he usually drives first, and then I stay up and chat with him, and then he says he gets tired, so then I have to continue to drive, exhausted. So I said, all right, you keep driving, do it for another, give me an hour, and then we'll switch. So I put the seat back, I have a pillow, I start to doze off, and then I start having these bizarre thoughts of, oh, if we were to get into an accident, we would never get up there, and I wouldn't see my friends who I only see once a year, and next thing I know, boom, we get hit from behind really hard. And hitting somebody that hard in bumper-to-bumper traffic, I don't quite understand how that happened, but it was a loud, loud bang. So I went nuts. I turned back, I'm like, pull over your car! Pull over your car! Of course, you can't hear me. You know, the windows are up. So we're in the center lane. He cuts around. Mind you, there's still traffic, and he tries to gun it. And I'm like, oh, no, step on it. And we start flying up behind him, like, pull over your car. And so he cuts over, and we go to cut over behind him, thinking he's still running. Okay, I still flipped out, but he was actually pulling over. So, I went up to him and I said, well, you know, I'm trying to keep my cool because you have to in this kind of situation. You know, more honey with bees, no more bees with honey. And so I'm talking to him and he's just kind of giving me this blank stare, and I realized very quickly that he doesn't understand what I'm saying because he doesn't speak English. And unfortunately, my husband and I really don't speak Spanish at all. I speak some Italian. We're trying to kind of converse back and forth. Nothing's working. So we find out that we call 911. They say, well, can you see any damage to your car? We said, well, I don't, you know, there's some dents and we don't know what's wrong with the muffler. And they said, well, we're not going to send anybody. We said, oh, come on, send a police officer. We need to file a report for insurance. So the police officer comes and we wound up pulling off in the exit, and it took an hour and a half because it was not his car. He did not have insurance. And he did not have a driver's license. Oh. So what do you think happened to him? He got a $75 fine and drove off, and the officer said, we'll never see him again. Great. So an hour and a half later, we're on the road. I'm driving at this point because my husband's tired. And we eventually make it up into, it's actually Plymouth on the way to Cape Cod, where my friend lives, and we take her exit. And my husband says, why are you driving so slow? And I said, well, I don't know where the exit, or I don't know where her house is exactly. I'm trying to, you know, take my time so that I'm not peeling off at, 50 miles an hour. He said, oh, come on, just drive the normal speed. So I start going 60 miles an hour, normal speed in a residential area, right? So the GPS says, you're 1 minute away. Yay, we're almost there. I'm so exhausted. It's 3:30 in the morning. And so then lights behind me in the rear view mirror. I'm like, oh my God, am I hallucinating? Is this really happening? So the police officer pulls us over. He comes over to the side. I open the window. I'm trying to make myself look less like drugged out, slapping some color into my cheeks. And he takes the flashlight and he says, what are you doing up here? Why were you speeding? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, officer. I didn't realize it wasn't intentional. I'm just a minute away from my destination. And give me your license and registration. So I said to my husband, please, can you just stick the accident report in with the registration, and maybe he'll take pity. So I hand everything out the window. What is this? That's not a registration. I'm like, sorry, sir. I hand everything to him. He goes back to the car, and I think he thought I was a teenager and maybe selling drugs from Philadelphia. Who knows? It turns out I'm 30 years old, clean driving record, and so never been in an accident. And so he comes back and he says, all right, fine. Just a warning, get out of here. So, I peel out, and I'm just kidding. I drove it like 15 miles an hour out of there. So we took the turn, we get to the house. I said, oh, look, she left the basement door open. Great. We started unpacking everything. I opened the door. It's pitch black. I'm like, I haven't been into her house. I'd only seen it when she had purchased it, never when she had actually been the owner and lived there. So I opened the door. Kendall! Nothing. So I I slowly step back. I say, Matt, can you go up to the front of the house and tell me what number it says on the house? And he says, it says 8. I'm like, abort, abort, abort. And so he goes running up the road. He's very socially awkward and a scary cat. And so I'm down there packing my bags back in the car, lightly shutting the door, putting it into reverse, and very slowly backing out of the driveway. And lucky I didn't get a shotgun in my face. And so, then I call her, and she's out in her driveway on the, other side of the, I was at some extension, I don't know. So, we finally get there, and, I sleep for maybe 2 hours, and then this guy starts doing deck construction outside my window the next morning, about 2 hours later. So, but we wound up having a great weekend in Cape Cod, and I did not get eaten by a shark.
All right.